Hi Karan, can we check your camera and audio?
Yeah, sure. I cannot share my video actually.
You're not able to?
I'm not able to share my video.
Yeah. Check now.
Okay, I'm able to.
The background is not integrated like in your
Yes, yes.
video. Can you, go to the start video, choose my virtual
Yes,
background
yes, yes,
option?
I know.
There must be an FGCBG.
Hi guys, good morning you all. So we're just gonna wait for few more minutes, 2 more minutes for the rest of the attendees to join. We're expecting few more people. So till then, you guys can interact with me during the session. My name is Karishma. I'm the career counselor at Unikaksha. I've been in this profession for more than 4 years. So if you want to know anything about Unikaksha or the career in IT, you can ask me during the session or post session. So you guys can tell me something about yourself, like Aditya, Anisha, Karthik. You guys can tell me like what is your qualification, from which city you belong. Like I belong from Jaipur. So you guys can interact with me. We have enabled 2 options for you, Q&A and chat. Just write about yourself on the chat option. Guys, we have to make this session a very interactive one. Okay, Aditya is saying he's from Mumbai. Aditya, what is your qualification? What do you do right now? We're a second year IT student. Got it. What about other people? Guys, let's make this session an interactive one. Anisha, Karthik, Leela. Yeah, I can see that we have a, okay. Karnik is saying he's from Vadodara and he's pursuing diploma in computer engineering. Okay, got it, Karnik. Leela is saying she's from third year BTech. Okay, got it, Leela. What about Divya and Dhruvi? Okay, now I can see that many people have joined now, so it's time to start the session. So I welcome you all again in this today's GC class. So before moving forward for the GC, for the Guru class to start, I want to let you know something about Unikaksha, what exactly is. Okay, so Unikaksha is an online upskilling platform that helps student and working professionals upskill themselves in their tech career with the help of our top mentors and our advanced curriculum. So far, we have made a positive impact of more than 10,000 students, and by this GC, we are hope to see doing the same for you as well. Okay, so guys, today's topic is Node.js for beginners. So you might know that what Node.js exactly is, right? So Node.js is a framework that is used for the backend development. It is highly preferred these days for a server-side web development. It enables developers to develop a very fast, scalable, and real-time web applications. So get ready to level up your coding skills with this exclusive session. And one more thing, guys, I want to let you all know that you will all going to receive a certificate for this class post the session. So we would love for you all to share this certificate on your LinkedIn profile. Okay, so by sharing your certificate, you are demonstrating your commitment to continuous learning and professional growth. Okay, so today GC we're going to take by Karan. Karan is a full stack trainer at Unikaksha. Currently, he is training more than 300 students in developing essential skills in like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Node.js, helping them to become a confident web developer in future. He has 3+ years of experience in web development, and in this session, he's going to cover most of the topics regarding Node.js. Okay, so guys, please be patient and please be interactive in the session. So, Karan, it's all to you now. You can start.
Yeah, thank you, Karishma. All right, guys, I'm sharing my screen. Okay. A very warm good morning to everyone. So today we are going to look at how to start with Node.js development, and also what's how to create dynamic applications using Node.js. Okay, web applications specifically. All right. So in my last core class, so we discussed about the impact of merge stack and also the different technologies involved in merge stack. So one of those technologies is Node.js. So we'll get into detail what are the other technologies and how Node.js affect them later in this Guru class. Okay, so let us start right now. So first of all, we'll be covering about Node.js modules, npm, SQL and NoSQL databases in Node.js as well at the end of the session. Okay, so before we get started, I want to clear something about frameworks. Okay, frameworks are basically libraries of a certain language or a certain programming language that allows us to perform operations and programming much more efficiently. Okay, uh, Node.js is one of such frameworks. Node.js, as the name suggests, it's a framework of what we call as JavaScript. Now, JavaScript is a one of the most important web development applications. Web development languages. JavaScript has its own range of applications and own range of use cases. One such application is the client side, okay, which is what majorly we use JavaScript for, and also we use TypeScript occasionally, but JavaScript is mainly used for server side scripting, server side programming. It's very rare. So when we use server side scripting and server side programming for JavaScript, so to overcome that, Node.js was invented. So mainly JavaScript was used for client-side programming and client-side dynamic operations and creating functionalities in client-side. So to overcome the barrier in the server side, so Node.js was introduced. So Node.js is nothing but an entire library, or you can consider an entire repository of functions, classes, and objects alike. Okay, basically, in layman terms, you can say that it's a bunch of code compiled together under a single name. So that single name is what we call as modules. So in Node.js, we have different modules, meaning we have different functions and different classes linked to each other, which are actively and easily available at our disposal. Okay, for example, one such example is HTTP. HTTP is used to transfer data across the internet, basically to the HTTP protocol or HTTPS protocol, which is the internet protocol for transferring data. So even right now, when you have joined the Zoom meeting, you might have received a link, HTTP link or HTTPS link. So that's how computer connects to each other. Like that's how computers talk to each other using this protocol. So Node.js has a specific module, meaning it has a set of classes and set of functions that can take advantage of this HTTP module. One such advantage is like rendering or sending HTML data. So which is what's happening here. So basically we are using the require keyword, we are specifying the HTTP module, and then we are connecting to a server and we are hosting a HTML file. This is one of the most basic code and one of the most important applications of Node.js. Okay, hosting HTML, hosting CSS, and also hosting Bootstrap, basically front-end applications. Okay, next. So we can create our own modules too. So Node.js or Node Package Manager, NPM, is what we call as a front end or not a front end, open source or open-ended programming language, which means anyone on the internet can contribute to this code, much like C or Java. where you have multiple people, contributing code and contributing programs towards this language and its uses, we can do that too. Okay. So in Node.js as well, we'll have multiple different people contributing code to it. Okay. So one such example that I have created here is that I just created a module that will return, date, current date, which means today's date, including time as well. So I have created this module and then I have named this as my first module.js. So everything is a JavaScript file because it's a JavaScript programming language, right? So yeah, so this is how we are able to include our own code into Node libraries. Okay, and this is how people upload it to. So this is how we contribute code and we extract code. So using the single entity, what we call as Node Package Manager or Node modules. Okay, now, so you can include your own module too. It doesn't have to be as if you can include code from others, which means it has to be uploaded to the Node and Node.js, and it has to be approved by the Node team. No, you can also do that. You can create your Node module locally in your system, and then you can host it. So to host it, we'll use several npm commands, which I'm glossing over here. I have given you the information on the screen. So if you want to break it down, you can. But for the sake of this presentation, I will keep it simple how it works. Okay. So basically, you have what we call as a file system, meaning an entire folder or an entire drive in your local system will be addressed or referenced to a particular port, okay, a web port. Using that port, you can host files and also you can run your applications. So your Node applications, React application, any application that is developed using JavaScript can be hosted there. So that's how Node.js servers work. So it is much like in traditional way, what we have like XAMPP or any other PHP MyAdmin. So much like that, you convert your existing, folder or your existing, disk in your computer into a server by connecting it to a port and setting up environment variables. So in a sense, you are creating your own server, okay, locally, not necessarily in the cloud, but locally. So this is how cloud servers are set up in Node.js too. So it's a universal language and it's a universal protocol. Okay, so it doesn't differ from platform to platform, or it doesn't differ from operating system to operating system. The drivers may change, like how you install Node.js might be different, but all the commands are universal, all the executing principles are universal, and that is one of the main reasons nowadays merge stack or mean stack is becoming very popular, because Node is very user friendly and it is multi-platform supported. We can use a Node module created for an for web, can be ported easily to an Android application, can easily be ported to an iOS application, because it's not platform dependent. All it needs is a driver that supports the device. That's it. You don't have to create your own frameworks or your firewall. Nothing has to be changed. Okay, that's one of the advantages of Node modules, and that is why you can include your own module instead of relying on the internet, like for them to contribute. You can create your own Node modules to support your application. Now, we discussed a lot about web servers and HTTP module, right? So this is the simplest form of code that you can use to create a server, which means converting a folder into a server. Specifically, here we are creating a Node.js application, installing all the Node modules into the folder. After installing all the Node modules, after installing npm, which is package manager for Node, after installing all this, by simply executing this JavaScript file, you can create your server. So it's as simple as that. It's as simple as just dragging and drop and just copy pasting. Okay. You may have noticed something called as require. right? So require is also a function or what we call as a method. So require, we also have listen here. So these are some of the functions and methods that allows us to perform server operations in what otherwise would be just a client side operation, right? So even if you create a server, you need some way to communicate to the server, and you need some way to host your files, right? So those are done through several methods and several functions. Now let us discuss deeply about npm. So I've been talking about npm a lot here, so let us discuss what is an npm. Okay, so you can actually install npm through npmjs.com. Okay, now npm is an acronym for node package manager. So as we discussed, node, the library, right, the library or framework, however you want to call it, is consists of different packages and different modules. So they are either like can be accessed through classes and objects, or can be accessed through like normal variables and functions, right? So in order to facilitate that function, like in order to facilitate those like actions, we need some way of managing them. We cannot just have the data lying around in a file, right? So we need some way to request certain method, certain packages and certain modules, and we need a way of installing or uninstalling or even upgrading the existing ones. Okay, so that is the role of npm. So npm helps us or allows us to install, uninstall, maintain and upgrade the existing packages in your computer. Okay, we have several ways of doing it. You can do it through, there are various different what we call as GUI applications developed for Node where you can manage it, or else you can simply do it through your command prompt or Windows terminal, right, or CMD. So the like here is a simple command that allows us to install a module called as uppercase, basically converting all the text inside a string into uppercase. Okay, so these are some of the things, or these are some of the functionalities of npm. Now in addition to being the package manager or like the module manager for node, npm allows us to also like start the server as well. So npm has several other commands also, like that allows us to start, stop, or resume or debug our server. So those are done through modules as well, but npm has its own set of commands to maintain itself too. So it's also a piece of code that is maintaining the other piece of code. It's not entirely automated. It is user dependent, which means it depends upon user interest and user input. Now, like using a package in Node is actually very easy. All you need to do is to install the Node modules using npm. After you install all the Node modules into your folder, then what you can do is using the require function, you can include your package, or you can include your module. So in this case, I'm including the module called as uppercase. Okay, using the require keyword, I'm like including the uppercase method inside the variable uc. Now all the dependencies, all the functionalities, basically I'm basically creating an object, by the way. So I'm creating an object for the uppercase package. So after creating that object, I can access its methods and attributes, right? And to access all those things. So for example, I'm using the uppercase here to convert all the text inside the string hello world into uppercase, and then I am writing it in a HTML document. Okay, using write head and also using write functions, write methods, I'm writing the content into a HTML file. Now So so we have seen so far like how does node work, what are the different modules that are present in node, right? So where does it stack up, where does it lay under this, what we call as this layer of web application. So a web application contains a presentation layer, a business layer, persistence layer, database layer, and all those things. Where does our node module stack up, and what role does it play? As you might know, if I may, I will recall you on this. So presentation layer means that's your HTML and CSS. So that is where your content lays, and that is where your styling lays, right? Okay, that's your presentation layer. Business layer and persistence layer is our functionalities. So that's where we define our functionalities. That's where we perform certain operations and programming and all those things. Okay, that is done through business layer and persistence layer. Now, in addition to having both these things like HTML, CSS, presentation layer might also contain JavaScript at times. Okay, but that JavaScript is different, which means that that functions of that functions are different from business layer and persistence layer, and that is where our Node.js come into place. Our Node.js acts, okay, Node.js acts or Node.js works under persistence layer, meaning Node.js provides, okay, or Node.js allows us to perform calculations on the server and also maintain the files in the server, okay, through npm and node packages. So Node.js acts as a bridge between your database and your front-end components. So Node.js retrieves data from the backend, processes the information. So such as if you have a collection or if you have a table in the database related to a student's details like their name, address, their grades, average, and also their marks. No, what does Node.js do is basically it collects all the information from the database, like such as their name, address, class, their subject, okay, and it sends those information to the presentation layer, okay. So in addition to being managing all the files, managing all the modules that allows us to perform the calculations, it also connects to the database as well, okay. So you doesn't require or you doesn't need a secondary programming language in order to connect to a database. You just need an extra library or an additional library to connect to the database, okay. So this, what does this do? Basically this saves us from using extra programming languages or saves us from the pain of learning new programming languages. So if you know JavaScript, you can easily do the presentation layer, right? Because JavaScript is mainly a client-side programming language, so you can easily do client-side programming with JavaScript. Now with the existence of Node or with the knowledge of Node, what you can do is you can do like file management, load balancing, and all the other server side programming can be done through the same script, the same programming languages with the powerful and with the functionalities of node package modules. So node package modules allows us to expand our JavaScript capabilities. So this is where JavaScript as a language and also Node.js as a framework shines really well, because it allows us to perform all the operations from the beginning to the end. That is, the entire full stack can be done through a single script. So that's why Node.js is very important, and that's why companies these days, those who are hiring for a full stack developer, are looking for people who have experience with Node.js and what we call as React, Angular, the front-end frameworks, more often than not. So that's why it's very important for you to learn Node.js. Okay, so we have learned all these things. So now we have obviously understood where Node.js stacks up, why it is so versatile, and how it is performing calculations, and what type of calculations are it performing, and all those things, and how we can use them in our application. So we have learned all those things. Now let us move on from that bit. Okay, let us see a real-time example, or a real-time stack. Okay, that supports Node.js very well. So one such stack is Merge stack. So we here at Unikaksha, we teach our students Merge stack. So what we are teaching them, and how they are able to create coherent websites and web applications through Merge stack. No, first of all, you learn JavaScript, you learn all the syntaxes, you learn all the different techniques, and all the different concepts, such as like variables, classes, objects, data structures. So you obviously learn those theoretical concepts and how to implement them in JavaScript. Once you learn that, now with the power of React.js, which is a front-end framework, which means it's a library that has front-end elements, and allows the user, or allows the developer to create a front-end application, right? Using React to create a front end. Then after doing that, we can create Node.js servers. Okay, basically creating servers through Node.js and maintaining all the different files, that is your images, text, vectors, and all the other components that you might require in the front end can now be managed through Node.js. Okay, under the single script, under a single programming language, both of them are getting done, but using different frameworks, right? So once that is done, so once you have set up your Node.js server, and once you have set up your front-end server, that is React, okay? So once you have set up your React application and Node application, all that left to do is to connect them both, okay? So to connect, or basically to send data from backend to frontend and frontend to backend. So the communication needs to be set up. So that is done through a library of Node.js. Please listen carefully. Express or Express.js is a library of Node. Basically, Express is one of the modules under Node. Okay, so one of the Node modules, or one of the packages in Node, Express, allows us to connect front end with backend, meaning we can send data from the front end to the backend and vice versa using Express. Now you have a very coherent and connected full stack web application, okay, with React and Node in place together under different servers, like under different applications, or indeed in the same application. With the help of React, we are connecting them both. So that's the front end, back end, and connectivity part. And then we have something else called as a MongoDB. Now, MongoDB is also structured very much, or it is very much alike to JavaScript, in the sense it works through objects, which means MongoDB is actually a NoSQL database, meaning it doesn't have a table, a structure, or a column, row, all those things. It is maintained as in form of collections. Collections in the sense you have different objects, okay, saved under a single name. So MongoDB is basically a collection of objects, okay. And what is one of the most widely used concept in JavaScript? Object files, JSON. So using JSON, we can read data from MongoDB, or we can save data into the MongoDB, or manipulate data in the MongoDB by using just JavaScript object files JSON. There you go. That's why Node.js is such an important part in the whole of full stack development. It is the main brainstem, or it's the main spine that is connecting all the other nerves and all the other structures of this MERN stack and also mean stack. Mean stack in the sense we swap out React for Angular. So that is called mean stack, MEAN stack. So in both the cases, Node.js is what, keeping this entire application intact. So it is connecting the front end with the back end and also acting as the server itself, and also, maintaining all the files that we need. Okay, so this is how Node.js is used, and these are some of the applications of Node.js. So the implementations are done through Node Package Manager, NPM, right? And mostly NPM is used to install and uninstall. So that can be done through the command prompt. And to use a module or to include a module into your JavaScript file, you use simply require. Okay, now, so we have all these things. So we have learned what's the importance of Node and how to implement Node and how to program using Node.js and all those things. But we have found all those things. But how it is functional as a server then? Like everything that we discussed right now is related to its capabilities, on the data front, like just maintaining or inserting data into databases, retrieving data from the database, and also displaying them in the front end, communicating with the front end, getting the details from the front end, all has been discussed. But how the files are being managed? Actually, files are being managed through a single module called as FS module, file system module. So we have a separate module in Node.js for managing files. So using this FS module, we can read files, create files, update files, delete files, and rename files. So how it is done? So it is basically done through objects and methods. So as we discussed earlier, using require, we can create objects of our modules, and we can access their methods, basically accessing their functions, right? Now, so fs.read file, so that is the method to read a file, and we also have what we call as fs, like server management and load balancing. So these are some of the algorithms that helps us do file management as well, but that we'll discuss that later. For now, let us understand like how a file system works. Okay, now, so here if you might see, so this is not actually maintaining any file here. So you might see that we are writing a HTML content directly into the result, which means we are directly writing into the console. Okay, console here, the console is basically your browser. So we are writing details directly into the browser here. Okay, using the HTTP method, we are writing the data directly into the browser. So this is not a file system. So if this is not how file system works, which is basically directly writing the data into your browser, then how file system might work? So it basically works by first retrieving the file. Okay, first retrieving the file from the folder or server, to be clear. So first it retrieves the file or reads the file fully and saves the file under an attribute or under a variable. Basically in a memory location, it is saved under a memory location. Okay, so after it's being saved, then our write head, or basically our like how we previously did, we write the data into the console or into the browser. So in a simpler terms, reading data of a file or writing data into a file is as same as writing, reading, and also manipulating data in the database. The only difference is that we are not doing it through an SQL or a NoSQL, basically SQL or NoSQL format. We are doing it through a Node module. Okay, now Node.js supports various different file formats such as HTML, text, CSS, and all the other file formats as well. The functionalities after reading, writing, and manipulating the data formats can be done, which means it is not only limited to currently existing formats, it can be extended beyond the current limits of Node.js through the power of npm, which is Node Package Manager. So in future, either might be you or might someone else can write programs that will allow us to read newer formats, that allow us to maintain even blockchains at some point. Okay, so that's the major advantage of having a file system developed under Node. Okay, because you are not learning anything new as a developer, and also you are not pushing anything new into the user. They don't have to have a separate driver in order to maintain their files, in order to keep their files intact, or they don't have to have separate hardware or a like a proprietary hardware system that allows us to run this file system. Basically, this this file system in Node is as same as any other module in Node. Now, like, what are the other features of Node.js? So we have so many other features in Node.js, not just writing data or like retrieving data. We also have what we call as REST APIs. So REST APIs are basically post and get methods. So those are one of the REST APIs. So REST APIs allows us to parse data into a URL request. So every time you access a server, every time you try to open, let's say, unicaxa.com or unicode.unicaxa.com, you are basically sending a request to a particular server that I want to access this, right? I want to access the information inside your server. So I want to access a particular file, right? So that's a request. That's a DNS request or a HTTP request. So while sending that request, you can also send parameters, or you can also send variables as well, like in form of post methods or in form of get methods, whatever you want to do. So Node.js supports those formats so that you don't have, like, it supports what we call as it's non-dependent. Basically, what I'm trying to explain is it's not dependent on JavaScript frameworks. Suppose if you have only front end developed using HTML and CSS, and it doesn't have React components or React routing or indeed Angular, okay, you don't have to worry about it. Just because something is just because the front end is not developed using JS framework doesn't mean that you can run Node.js. Node.js can be ran through any front end you want. It might be in C# or .NET as well. You can do that way too. Like, it's just a regular post and get method. So there is it's not like you are passing some other information into it. So you are just passing information through the regular post and get methods. So that's one of the features of Node.js. And also we have events as well. So you know how events work in JavaScript in front end, right? Like, we have on click, on mouse, hover, and also we have some on form submit. So we have some events in JavaScript for front end. Basically, reading the user inputs, tracking what the user currently does. So we can do that in Node.js too. So for example, if you are trying to retrieve data from the MongoDB or indeed any database, okay, now what happens is that you have a dilemma, or you have a problem, because not all connections are real time, right? Like, it doesn't happen in a second or in a whip, right? It takes some time. Like, it takes some time for the MongoDB to process your request. It needs to go through your credentials. It needs to pass your data, send your data to you. Then you have to convert the data into a JSON file, which means you need to include in that the retrieved data into a JSON file, or indeed reading, it's the same. So there is an entire process that's going in the background. Now you have to wait for it, right? You cannot just make a request and just move on, right? You have to make a request, wait for the response and all those things. So those are mainly does through async await. So basically asynchronous functions and await keywords. Much like that, you can also build events into it as well. So if there is some control structure that you have to build, or if you want to build some control structure into it, okay, into the data retrieval part, or read insertion part, you can do that. And also you can do the same with like load balancing, server maintenance as well. So whenever there is a high traffic situation, right, you can using load balancing algorithms, because it's just a JavaScript language, right? So you can implement any algorithm you want. So you can implement load balancing algorithms or server maintenance, like basically that's your own algorithm, by the way. So you can develop your own algorithm to maintain your server and all those things. Basically scheduling maintenance, making sure all the files are working properly, checking the formats, the versions of the Node.js, and all those things can be done, right, on a scheduled manner. And in also including all these things, one of the major advantages, or one of the very popular applications that you can find anywhere on internet right now, is notifications, emailing, call screening, on not call screening, like calls, marketing, and all those things, right? We are living in the golden age of Web 2, where everything is sent to everywhere. Like communication is the highest priority, social connections is the highest priority. So Node.js also takes advantage of, also allows us to take advantage of it. So it has a email server built into it. Basically, it's a module, by the way. So it has an email module that allows you to create emails, and allows you to process emails as well. So yeah, so this is basically Node.js. So Node.js, if you want to learn Node.js, or if you want to get started with Node.js, please remember one thing, or do remember one thing, is that Node.js is just another library of JavaScript that allows you to perform certain programs and certain calculations. It just so happens to be that Node.js specializes in server-side scripting, right? And you need to be aware of all the advantages, or all the use cases built into Node.js, so that when you create a program, or when you develop a program, or indeed when you come up with a system design, you can be more aware of it. Okay. And I hope in today's session you have learned something related to Node.js, and how to program in Node.js.
Thank you, Karan, for taking up the session. I think it went really well. So guys, before taking up the Q&A, I will just going to let you know one more thing about Unique Aksha. Okay, so Unique Aksha is an upskilling platform. It helps upskill you according to the current industry and standards. We have various programs and courses that helps you upskill, which comes 100% job guarantee, and also a pay after placement program and easy EMI options. So if you want to go ahead with Unique Aksha as a support to provide you a good IT career, we are here to help you out. So guys, I'm launching a poll. If you want to know more about Unique Aksha, if you want to know about the courses that we are providing, I'm launching a one-to-one counseling session form. If you are interested to know about the program, just type yes. If you don't want to know, you can click on no. Okay, I want everyone to participate in this poll. The poll is going to live for 10 seconds. Only 70% of people have participated till now. Guys, please participate for your own good. If you're not interested, you can also mark no. Okay. Okay. 5 more seconds. The poll is going to end. Okay. I can see that everyone has participated in that poll. So thank you so much for the people who have chosen option yes. We will surely gonna contact you in no time. I'm gonna let you know everything about Unikaksha and the code that we are providing. So now let's take up the Q&A. So guys, if you have anything that you want to ask about Unikaksha or the session that we have today about the Node.js or anything, you can just type your questions on Q&A or in the chat option. We are here to help clear them. Anything that you want to ask, guys? Anything about the Node.js framework? Karan is the best person to answer that question. So there's a person who is saying placement. So see, we have a placement program also. We have a pay after placement and a job guarantee program. So if you fall under that criteria or the eligibility criteria, you can surely enroll in our program. Pay after placement, we're going to pay all the money after being placed. And this is a 100% job guarantee program. Okay, so by enrolling in this program, we are giving you a guarantee that we're gonna place in an IT company. Okay, and if you want to know more, and if you have chosen option yes in the poll, we'll surely gonna contact you. Saying, I have heard that we will get 100% scholarship. Yes, Garnik, we have a few programs in which you can get a scholarship according to the test. If you can qualify the test that we have, then you can surely get a good scholarship in that. I can't guarantee you for the 100% because it's up to your capability how much you scored in the test. Okay, but if you don't want to pay anything right now, you can totally go with the pay after play program. So anything else, guys? Anything that you want to ask? It's an open forum, guys. Anything that you want to ask. Okay, I can see that no one has any questions left with them. We're gonna wait for 1 more minute. If you have anything in your mind that you want to ask about Unikaksha or about the today's session, you can type it on Q&A or in the chat box. See, it can be two options, guys. Either you all already know about the session or about Unikaksha, or you don't want to know it. So what is it? Aditya, Ahanish, Anirudh, Leela. Okay, I can see that no one has any kind of questions left. So now let's end this session. I hope the session was fruitful for you, knowledge as you might have expected. So we're gonna end this session. So thank you so much for being such a lovely and patient audience. We're all gonna see you again in the upcoming GC, which we're gonna conduct in every Saturday. And one more reminder, guys, you will all going to receive a proper certificate for this program, for this session, sorry. So we would love to share it. We would love you to all to share this certificate on your LinkedIn profile. Okay, thank you so much for being such a lovely audience. Let's end this session. Okay, bye-bye. Have a good weekend. Have a good day.